But at the same time, again, there has to be boundaries, because your energy is the most precious gift you have to give. Even more valuable than money and gold and property or any material thing. Your energy is priceless. So be very wise in how you spend it.
So find a way to
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Lightworker community. My name is Monica, and today's video is titled, Beware of Energy Vampires. This is an urgent message to all Lightworkers, Empaths, and Starseeds. So first off, let's talk about some definitions of the words in this title, in case some of you are unfamiliar. So an energy vampire to me is anything that drains your energy, anything that lowers your vibration, kind of puts you in a bad mood, or you give so much energy to, but you're not really getting it reciprocated, or not getting much in return. An empath is someone who takes on and processes other people's feelings and emotions as if they're their own. A starseed is someone who has incarnated here on Earth. Maybe previously they were living on a different planet, maybe in a different galaxy, and they decided to incarnate here on Earth at this time to assist with the ascension process that's currently going on. A light worker is someone who shines light on the darkness. Darkness is not necessarily considered a bad thing. There is duality here on Earth in the 3D. So there's black, white, light, dark. And both serve a purpose in helping us with our growth and expansion. So if you found this video, you are most likely one of those, or a combination of two, or all three like myself. Recently, I had to learn a very tough lesson, and that was that I needed to learn how to set personal boundaries with people who I'm very close to. For the longest time, I have been a person who kind of prides themselves on being able to set boundaries with people. And it's something I learned years and years ago and has been a life-changing thing ever since. And while I am very good with setting boundaries with a lot of people, I didn't realize that I had trouble setting boundaries with some family and some friends, sometimes even with my husband, and even with myself. And I'll tell the story of how this came about. My husband was working a lot in the last couple of weeks, and he had this big project that was due, and everybody was working weekends and working 12-hour days. And not only was he working 12-hour days, he worked 12 days in a row at one point. And he was very tired, he was very frustrated, he really needed a break. And I can totally understand that. I would have felt the exact same way. I would have been probably pretty upset, pretty angry, and just all kinds of emotions would have ramped up for me if I were in the same position. I don't know anyone else who's been in this position before. And at the end of the 12th day that he had worked in a row, he was confiding in me, explaining why he was so upset and what was going on with work. And at a point, I literally just kind of broke down. I was like, I'm so sorry. I love you, but I literally cannot take any more in of what you're saying right now. And what I did was I got up and I told him, I have to go step outside. I got to get some fresh air. I got to breathe. Because I literally felt like I was on the verge of having a panic attack. And the reason being is I'm such an empath. And after we both took a few minutes to cool down and we talked about it, he apologized and he was like, I'm sorry, I forget that, I feel better as I'm talking to you and releasing all of this, but then I forget that you feel worse, even though I start feeling better. And he promised to be more mindful about it. And it's been about a week, and so far, things have been great. We talked about setting aside space and time to talk about things throughout the day and not just have it all at once or have it like constantly. Or if I'm doing something, he doesn't interrupt and just start talking. Like he'll ask if I have, the time or the energy to be able to handle him, venting a little bit. And if I'm in the middle of something, I'll finish up and then we'll get to it. So those are some of the boundaries that we have placed on that. And although it was really difficult for me to come to that conclusion because I love my husband so much and I feel like I always need to be there for them, we always want to be there for our loved ones, I just couldn't do it at that moment. I just needed some time because, again, it was 12 days in a row, all day, every day. So everything that he was going through, I was feeling it that entire time. And I was so calm on the surface and so cool and collected until that very end point where I had my breaking point. But I'm so grateful that I had it because it did teach me this valuable lesson. It really made me kind of evaluate my energy and how precious it is. And when I got to that breaking point, I lost that high vibrational energy. I finally was just at a low point and I was angry. And I wasn't angry towards him. I was angry because I was feeling his anger towards the situation. And since then, since we've talked about this, it has made our relationship so much stronger. And I think even better than it was before. Because we were both able to express how we were feeling and set those boundaries to where we could still be there for each other and support each other and listen, but also not to the detriment of our own mental health. And on that 12th day was the same day that one of my friends was dealing with a very difficult situation, and I was trying to be there for them as well. So I'm like texting them back and forth, and then in between I'm talking to my husband and I'm like, sorry, I gotta go, I gotta talk to this person, and I'm like, sorry, I gotta go. It was just this running back and forth, just almost playing therapist to two people very intensely all day. So that was the other thing, is it definitely added having multiple people trying to navigate helping. Like there's only so much we can do for other people. There's only so much we can be there for them. My whole life, I pretty much have had this issue of trying to be everything for everyone all the time at the expense of my own self-care and my own happiness. And for as long as I can remember, strangers were always coming up to me and telling me their life story, like even as a kid. Like I remember I had to take the bus because I didn't have a car for a long time, and it never failed. At the bus stop, on the bus, when I got off the bus, I would attract all these people who would just vent to me. And I was too afraid to stop them and say, hey, you know what, I gotta go, even when I did have something to go. Because I understood that they needed someone to talk to. I had compassion for them. Maybe they didn't have anyone else. I definitely feel for people because I've been there myself. And I was recently reminded that my first name actually means to advise. And my maiden name means counselor. And even at one point, my former therapist told me that I should be a therapist. And this always felt like something that I was destined to do. I couldn't get away from it. And even though I don't do it professionally, I didn't go to school for it and I didn't get a degree in it, but I've always been kind of a therapist for many people. And it's been kind of a challenging role for me because I really do love to help people. I even love listening to people's stories. I love giving advice. That's why I have this channel. But at the same time, I didn't know how to navigate with not giving too much. Because empaths tend to give too much and receive very little back. And I'm not talking just about like material things like giving away money or doing favors or buying stuff for people. That could be a part of it, but I'm more so talking about giving energy, holding space for people, being present. I'll use an example from Ralph Smart from Infinite Waters. And I can't remember exactly what he calls it, but it's something like a energy drive-by or something like that, where basically someone just comes up to you, they dump all their problems on you, and then they drive away. And I have definitely experienced that a lot in my life. And I used to actually blame other people for the way I was feeling when I felt overwhelmed, when I felt drained from being there for people all the time and then not really getting that support back. Until one day I figured out that I wasn't angry with them. I was angry with myself. I was disappointed in myself for letting people just kind of dump all over me. I was not forced to hang around these people. I was not forced to listen to them. I didn't have a gun to my head. I wasn't tied up. I made the decision to stay. I made the decision to let them keep coming back. I made the decision to listen. So when I finally took responsibility for that, I took my power back. Because I realized that I'm making the choice. I can choose to say, you know what, I'm sorry, but I'm not in the energetic space right now. I don't have that capacity to hear you out right this moment, but let's talk later. Or responding less often. I know I've been there way too much for people with like texting and stuff and just constantly responding over and over again all day, even when I had things to do, just to be there for them. And I don't regret any of this. I'm definitely happy that I was able to help in some way or, you know, be a shoulder to lean on. But at the same time, again, there has to be boundaries because your energy is the most precious gift you have to give. Even more valuable than money and gold and property or any material thing. Your energy is priceless. So be very wise in how you spend it. And I'm not saying that everyone who vents to you is an energy vampire. We all need to vent sometimes. But I also think that there are people who don't want to process anything internally. And I know they say don't hold it all in. And I'm not telling people that they should hold it all in. But there has to be, I think, some kind of a balance where we internalize, meaning that we kind of process on our own certain things and situations, especially if it's like an ongoing thing. Maybe that could be like taking a walk and just really letting your thoughts flow. Maybe it's meditating. Maybe it's just like sitting on a bench in a park, you know? A lot of people don't do that anymore. Many people are just very quick to run and go to somebody else and they want them to tell them what to do. And I've spent way too much time in the past trying to tell people what they should do when they came to me for advice. If somebody asks me, should I do this or should I not do this or should I do this or should I do that? I won't give them an answer. What I say is, ultimately, you know what it is that you should do. Like, you don't need me to tell you what to do. And it depends on the situation. Sometimes if they really don't see any options or they want another perspective, sometimes I might be like, well, I see option A, B, and C, but you'll still have to choose from there if you want to go with those options. But like I said, we all know in our hearts, deep down, what we want to do or what we feel like we should do or what the best choice for us to make is. But sometimes we're too afraid to take responsibility for our own life and actions, and we want someone else to do it for us. But the truth is that other people can't do the inner work for us. That's for us to do. That's why we're here. And another thing that took me a long time to realize is that people who chronically complain without ever trying to change their situation or work towards a better solution tend to be so comfortable in whatever situation they're in, even if it's making them unhappy. And instead of actually taking responsibility, meaning the ability to respond to that situation by making a change, by maybe leaving a relationship, by maybe leaving a job or finding another job, they find it more comfortable to be in that situation and feel stuck and complain over and over and over to other people even when those people have already given them advice or solutions or something else they could do. Because they know that as soon as they take responsibility and make a choice to change their situation, even if it takes time, that they're going to be put into an uncomfortable unknown because they're afraid of change. So it is not up to us as empaths, light workers, and starseeds. It's not up to us to take responsibility for everybody else's problems or everybody else's emotions. I almost think of it as like picking up a group of people from an airport, and everybody has luggage, like lots of luggage, it's really heavy, and us, especially empaths, like are over here trying to carry every single person's luggage as if it's our own and unpacking everything for everyone. But that's not our job. We can't do that for everyone all the time. I once heard one of my favorite YouTubers, Elizabeth April, say that one light worker affects 72,000 people. And she's like on another dimension. She is way, way, way up in consciousness. She's experienced aliens and all kinds of things that I've never experienced. Like her psychic abilities are like, wow. So I can't personally like prove that, but it is something that resonates with my soul to be true. I think we do affect a lot of people because everything is energy. And I believe as light workers and starseeds, especially, that we're here to anchor in the light. I think our job, in a sense, our mission is to raise our frequency up, be at a very, very high vibration. And that alone affects so many people around us. And that's why we're all spread out into different places on the earth to kind of spread that light around. So there are a lot of light workers who are doing like YouTube, for instance, and social media to reach lots and lots of people, like thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people with their message. But if you're, a light worker or starseed and you don't feel called to do that, I think that's okay too. I think by you just being you, authentically you, and keeping a high vibration, doing things that you love, that is so important. That may be your mission, to just live your life and hold and anchor in that light by being a high vibrational being. I can't tell you how many times I had like 2 or 3 people in my life that I was constantly trying to help. I was just trying to help them all the time until I figured out that they didn't really want to help themselves. So I was expending so much time, so much energy to try to help someone who didn't really want to be helped. Again, they just wanted to complain because it was comfortable for them. And when we do that, we are not expending our energy the way that we could be. We're not spreading our light the way we could be. So I'm not saying that we have to stop talking to those people altogether, but we can still love them. We can still be there for them in a certain capacity. But we ultimately have to realize that we can't, again, do the work for them. So rather than taking all of our energy, all of our precious energy, and trying to help someone who doesn't want to be helped, 1, 2, 3 people, we could be helping 2,000-3,000 people, 20,000-30,000 people. That's if our intention is to reach a larger audience, like with social media. But still, our energy is so precious. And I think especially right now in these times, the world seems a lot darker for a lot of people. But I believe that's for more of the people who aren't awake or who are starting to wake up or maybe not as conscious, that the world's always kind of been like this. Like there's been darkness and evil ruling this world for a long time. But now there's more light being shined than ever before. More people waking up, more people who are standing in their power and anchoring in the light. And so therefore we are shining light onto the darkness and it's being exposed. And some of you may have no idea what I'm talking about, or some of you may feel it to be true. It may resonate in your heart, but it doesn't really register in your mind, and that's okay. The people who need this message will understand this message. And as harsh as what I'm saying may sound, I don't mean to sound harsh, but I know it may come off that way. Again, I still love helping people. I still love being there for people. I love loving people and supporting people and listening to them. But even I have my limits, and I finally hit that limit recently to the point where it made me reassess how I put my energy into things. And of course, not everyone is like a narcissist or self-centered. They may not even realize how much they're affecting you or affecting your energy or draining you. So that's why it's good to have that communication and maybe explain that you're an empath and what that means, and maybe you just need to take some time or take some space with whoever it is that may be constantly coming to you for advice or for help. And the last thing I wanted to say is energy vampires don't always have to be a person. It could also be like what you're watching on TV. If what you're watching brings up negative emotions like fear or anger or something along those lines, if it just doesn't make you feel good, then that's an energy vampire. If you eat certain foods, like me for instance, if I eat any kind of candy, I feel sick right away. As we're leveling up in the ascension and we're raising our consciousness and our frequency, there may be some foods that are no longer in alignment with our vibrational frequency of our body. And so you will know because it will make you feel terrible every time you eat it. So I no longer can really eat candy. If I want candy, I just eat fruit. And fruit is not an energy drainer. It's like an energy generator for me. It like replenishes my energy. And there are a lot of foods that take more energy to digest. So it takes away a lot of your energy or drains your energy versus replenishing your energy. So definitely pay attention to that. So like I said, an energy vampire is just anything that drains your energy and makes you feel just kind of worse than you did before. Energy generators, anything that helps bring up your energy and helps you feel just kind of refreshed. And you'll start to notice that with people. I definitely have been seeing that more. There's some people I talk to, and even if we're talking about really dark things, if we're talking about negative things or sad things that have happened to us, I will leave the conversation feeling more energized, more refreshed, and more high vibrational than I did when we started the conversation. And with other people, it could be like, we're not talking about anything heavy or dark or sad, but I leave the conversation feeling kind of just lower in energy than I did initially. So definitely, if you take anything from this video, just pay attention to how you feel. That's how you're going to know what you're going to want to spend more of your time on or your time doing. Whatever, like, just, you just feel it in your heart. You feel it in your soul. All right, that is all I have for today. If any of you watching feel like you're a starseed or an empath or a light worker or a combination, let me know in the comments below. I'm very curious to see how many people relate to that, and let me know which one you think you are. And as always, I will see you guys again in my next video. Bye everyone.